Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Can We Discuss with Yara and Petra.
On this week's episode, we are actually going to be continuing the discussion from last week or the week before,
Yes,
actually. We got a lot of great feedback, so thank you all for just appreciating like the real and honest discussions that we have. Sometimes it's not really easy to open up and kind of share these thoughts with other humans. But obviously, when we're in this setting, Yara, at least for me, I kind of forget that this is
just a
gonna be
conversation between us two. It's not like
exact.
you don't think about everyone else اللي يمكن حيكونوا they're listening or watching us or whatever.
I love how we shoot because it's very like an informal way of shooting. You're literally just on my phone, كأنه we're
Yeah.
speaking to each other on
Video call.
FaceTime. Yeah. So I think that helps maybe with being able to like open up and talk
It
about it.
does.
Yeah. Guys, also like we know that this is a very sensitive topic for some people who again, like I know we mentioned this during the last episode, who are trying to become parents and their journey just looks a little bit different. So we just want to acknowledge that up front and say that we understand how much of a blessing it is that we are expecting our first baby, not me, Yara, but he's gonna be our baby, and how much of a privilege it is that I'm able to sit here and talk about fears when this is something that people pray for every day sometimes. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to get that out front because I just want to make sure people know that we understand that there is a sensitivity around this topic.
And that
Yeah,
there's a lot that comes with this topic. I mean, there's no one right way to talk about it, one right way to think about it.
yeah,
It's a lot of things that are different for so many different people,
yeah,
and you might be experiencing the same thing, you might be experiencing completely different things. It's all normal, it's all part of the process. I'm in Lebanon right now for Easter, and a lot of people are just like, what, la, you're almost 6 months, it doesn't show. And no, if are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. you
pretty
know.
sure. I think so, Yeah, no, I mean, it's very relative, right? Like it's super relative to like what you're going through and your experience, and we completely
Yeah.
understand. But again, like these are our experiences. We can only speak about what we feel and what we're going through in the moment. Um, so we kind of wanted to take this opportunity to continue the discussion, like I said, and just talk through a little bit more. We saw a lot of people resonate as well with what I'm experiencing.
Yeah, that's the side of things. I was just gonna say we got a lot of comments about, yeah, I get where Petra's coming from as well, and the way that she's thinking about these things. Because of course we're very close in age, Petra and I, and we
Yeah,
experience a lot of things in life together. So everyone's
and
like, we understand Petra's fears and we want to know her perspective. So we are
yeah,
giving you Petra's perspective as well as a few additional things that we also kind of always talk about. I know Petra Mabad.
yeah.
It's not fears, it's just the realities of life that kind of get to you,
Yeah,
basically.
like Yara said, of anyone who knows me and Diara, we quite literally have gone through every milestone together. And I feel like we're so blessed and lucky that we were able to have those times together. We graduated high school a year apart. All of our friends group were very intermingled. We graduated college the same year because Yara had a 5-year program, I had a 4-year program, and I came in a year after. We got married a week apart, which was really crazy at
I mean,
home.
technically, you got married a year before,
Well,
but the
yes, okay.
weddings were
Yes, yes. The
a week
the
apart.
ones that we kind of celebrate, me and Jason, our wedding that we celebrate was a week
Yeah.
after Yara and Lelus's wedding. And so we were really very blessed to be able to have all of those experiences and have someone to share it with while we go through them very differently, mind you, and
Yeah.
we feel things about them very differently. Um, we are still lucky to go through them together and have each other to lean on through those times. But let's dig into it, Yarouche.
Let's dive in. Let's dive in because of two things. One, because there's a lot for us to uncover. Two, I need the sunset lighting.
Yeah, Yada's shooting on natural light today, so that might be a little
We
bit
need the
different.
sunset lighting.
Yeah. Golden hour, like right now.
Okay. So Petra, I think كتير عالم كانوا قاعدين عم بيفكروا مثلك. They're married. They've been married for a couple of years or some even a few years. They're just not there yet. They don't
Yeah.
want to. They want to have kids eventually and they pray for it all the time. They say, and hopefully we will be able to get kids one day, one day, one day. They just don't feel ready right now.
Yeah.
You want to go into your fears a bit more?
I want to go into my fears a bit more, and I want to preface it by like everyone kind of commented and was like, or people who are moms now commented and were like,
Yeah.
you're never
You're
gonna
never ready.
find the right time where you feel like you're fully ready, right? Because this is an
Yeah.
experience that you're taking on that you have no idea about, right? Like, and there's nothing really in life that can prepare you to become a parent, صح? And we've heard that so much from our parents, our own parents as well.
Yeah.
But I think like there's a lot of realities, like Yara said, that kind of come to mind in this day and age when it comes to starting a family. I talked to my girlfriends about it. A lot of people as well are kind of like, it's a very scary place to be in because there's a fine line. And I think we've said this before where we're at an age now where it's like you don't feel like you're fully ready, but at the same time you're terrified of what waiting that extra year or 2 year might mean for your body, like biologically, right? So هيدا الشيء شوي بخوف. But I saw a really cool stat coming out of the US specifically, and it was a really funny comment that I saw that I'll say as well. But like the stat was like more than ever now, women in their
Over
40s are
40. Yeah.
moms. And I think that's so cool. I saw a comment that's like, ha ha ha, like all of those teen moms shows
Teen mom
scared
shows deterred people. Yeah.
scared 2 generations of like holding off, which is what I
Yeah.
said last week's episode is like they instill this fear in you. But I
Yeah.
think it's also like women have really tried to find their own path, tried to make sure that they're taking time and finding the right partner, not caving into those pressures, which I think are all really good things. Like mannu shi galat.
It's not about the pressures. I think life today looks very different than it did 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And I think people's priorities have shifted. مش بس هيك, I think كمان there's a whole other aspect that people start looking into. Women and men, like if you're in a relationship, both of you guys are working. It's very rare and people are very lucky and only one of them is working, right? Financial stability is one thing that a lot of people think about. That's why a lot of people tend to only have one kid, two kids these days. Whereas back in the day, and if we want to go even back in the day to our parents, I think the minimum was three, or at least the average
Yeah,
was three, right? That was kind of the norm. And
yeah.
of course, we know a lot of people that have more siblings, but that was kind of the norm. The days changed, times changed, and of course you're never really fully ready. هلا I got a question the other day. هلا هون أنا بلبنان إنه يا عم تقري كتب يا مدري شو. I'm like لا ما عم بقرا كتب. One, I feel like everything is very readily available. I've seen it so many times. Two, I have, even if it's just a few friends, but I have a lot more than a few friends that already have kids, that
Yeah.
I've seen the way that they are. But I also have this like firm belief that خلاص, when you're there, you're just gonna instinctively know what are some things that you want to do with your kid, what are some things that you might not want to do. And if you don't know, you're just gonna ask. It's not gonna be that big of an issue. If I have questions, I'm gonna ask people around me that have experienced a lot of it. Or in the moment, I'll just, ask one
Wing
of the
it.
AIs.
Yeah. Or wing it. I think one of the biggest comments come in that we got from moms is that motherhood is a journey where you're always learning on the go.
Yeah.
And it's never going to be something where there's a right or wrong answer, or it's never really black and white, right? It's very much like depends on the situation, depends on the child, depends on how you feel, depends on you and your partner's decision. So like there's a lot of factors that goes
Depends on
in.
where you live as well, right? That makes a
Yeah,
difference to a
of
lot of the
course.
things that you decide.
Of course. So I
Yeah.
think I can speak my own situation and what people have related to is, as well is as a Lebanese, I recently, who lived in Lebanon, by the way, for all of my adult life, and was thinking that we were going to be building our family in Lebanon and growing our future in Lebanon. It was all like taken away from us very, very quickly overnight, quite literally. And we had to, and I've said this before in a few episodes, but we had to literally uproot our life and move to the US and start over. So that plays like a really big factor in me and Jason's situation specifically. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I'm saying this because now it links back to your pregnancy journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was recently able to go to Lebanon. Alhamdulillah, I was able to see the whole family, and I was also able to pass by Dubai and see you.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. And that was the first time I saw you as a pregnant woman, right? Like
I
I
kind of went cuckoo.
obviously, yeah, like I knew obviously from before, but it was the first time I saw you physically. And بعتقد seeing you in Dubai, and you know very well that it was a very emotional trip for both of us. Um, Rawad and Laluz got a very close look at that too, but our emotions were very high. And I think for me, it was because مثل ما قلتي reality sunk in so fast that like, what the fuck, like Yara's pregnant. That means like her baby's gonna be here in a few months, and he's gonna grow up like not knowing, not knowing who I am, obviously knowing, but like me not being in his day-to-day physical life, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna cry. But that for me was something for me that I never could have imagined being our reality, you know?
Yeah, but Svika, it's thinking about it is a very shitty situation because you always feel like I always want to raise my kids with my family. I always want them to be around my family
Yeah,
and of course my husband's family, whatever. But you want them to have this connection, not just to your siblings, but
so,
to your siblings' children eventually. You
yeah,
want them to have these connections. I mean, you and I both know better than a lot of people. We grew up far from our cousins. Our cousins grew up together in Lebanon, and for my maternal sides and our paternal side, majority of them, and only one was here, so majority of them grew up together in New Jersey, in the States. So we know better than anyone what it feels like to grow up away from, living away from your cousins, the cousins that you love so, so much.
yeah,
So for us, it's like you always think about the fact that it's so sad that some of the life's moments, yes, for the majority of them, thankfully, we have always been able to be with each other for the big moments. Because you think about the little day-to-day stuff, just popping by, having lunch with each other, or taking them on play dates together, or them getting to enjoy having the same friends. So you start reflecting on your own experiences. And if they're great, which thank God ours are, you're always like, this is what I want for my children too.
yeah, 100%. I think you're so right to make that correlation, you know? And I just reflect on like how, alhamdulillah, in Saudi, we had a family in Saudi, a
We
family.
have family in Saudi.
We made
They are our family through and through. يعني
100%. And we were blessed to have that. And I know deep down in my heart that it's gonna be okay, and I'm gonna be able to provide that same level of community for my kids. But
yeah.
at the same time, like I don't know how our moms did it, you know, our mom, she was one mom, but all of our moms, our communal moms, how they did it, you know, how they were able to live far away from their family for so long, and they didn't even have like our constant communication. So I understand them now when they say like,
Yeah.
now you have technology. شو بتعملوا إذا كنتوا بمحلنا بأيامنا نحن ما كان عنا مدري شو.
Eh,
um
بس مثل ما قلتي, they also form their communities.
yeah, and you
Or
have
you
to.
form a community. Yeah, you form a community regardless wherever you
Yeah,
are in the world. إجباري حيصير عندك هيدا البيس يعني.
صح.
I live in the same building as some of my friends, but one of my very, very close friends, and she just had a baby of her own. And we're just always like, it's ترتاحي نفسيا خلص يعني, if I can't do something, she's able to do it for them, you know what I mean? So you
Yeah,
think about
yeah,
these things. But
yeah,
with family, especially the fact that we know as children, as expat children, we know what it feels like, right? With our own cousins. So you can put yourself in, hopefully one day, under your children's shoes, and you can see, you can kind of understand
Yeah.
how it might look or how it might feel for them. Although, of course, I wouldn't change our upbringing for anything, and I love it. I love the way that we were. But it's different, right? هلا
Yeah.
as adults أكيد كل شيء بيتغير. بس إنه it's one of the fears that at least it's a big one that a lot of us do have.
Yeah, it's interesting that I feel like being a third culture kid, now you're going to raise third culture kids as well. It's a very
Yeah,
interesting dynamic, and it's like
yeah,
we understand their perspectives, and at the same time, like I see the good, the bad, and the ugly, but the amazing experience as well that they're going to get. But it's just like an always like an internal battle, because
yeah.
I want to grow my community here. Sometimes I feel like I want to spend summers, for example, in Boston. I love
Yeah, you
summers
want to
here.
experience that as well, of
I want
course. Yeah, of
to experience
course.
that. I loved spending Christmas here with the Hajjars here, for
Yeah.
example. Like, they're also my family, but it's such an internal battle that you always have that
You're
you just
always
don't.
gonna have it. You're always,
Yeah,
as a third culture kid, raising مثل ما قلت third culture children in the future,
yeah.
you're always gonna have this. بس خلاص, it's يعني I think I'm more, and we were talking about this even before, Petra and I, we always talk about this. I think I've accepted this reality a bit more. Only Kamena because it's easier for me to accept it. I have 6 cousins that are with me in Dubai.
You've also done it for longer. Like
I've done
whether
it for longer. I
whether
left, I only came to Lebanon for 5 years, right? I was only here for 5 years. That's it.
and whether you just did undergrad basically there.
That's it. Yeah,
And
yeah,
and for me also, يعني, you've gotten used to the idea of living far away from us for longer.
yeah,
And أنا صرت يمكن maybe this is just like a coping mechanism for me, but at the same time, it makes me feel better that you don't live in Lebanon in a way where I'm just like, listen, like you're not the only one that's away. Okay, انه يارا اقرب بس انه يارا كمان بدها تطلع
بس انه
السيارة
كمان
تروح
عملنا
عليك
هونيك يعني ايه.
كمان بدنا هونيك عرفتي. So it selfishly, in a selfish way, makes me feel better that you're not there either. And it's not like I'm the only one that's away. But of
Yeah,
course, there is a difference between your situation and my situation. And it's not to say one's better than the other. La, it's just to say like one's closer to Lebanon, naturally,
yeah,
like
of
that
course. Yeah,
geography.
yeah,
But just like when you want to go home, you have to get on a plane. I have to get on a plane the same way. But you've had longer to kind of digest that information. Anna,
yeah.
hella, I started 4 years into it. I started digesting this
No, I mean, it
information.
took, يعني I moved to Spain. It was a decision that I made myself, right?
Yeah,
To do my master's at a very young age.
yeah,
I decided to just move to a country where I barely know anyone and
yeah,
do it all. And that experience of you being in a country where you know no one and being on your own and whatever, it kind of puts you in a position where خلاص you have to face reality. And
yeah.
I know it's not that easy, but at the same time, it's and hella looking at it from when you're raising your kids. I think نحنا we've always been in a position with our parents at least where they've always also been in different parts of the world from their own siblings. So it's not like
Exactly.
something is completely new to or their parents as well, مش بس siblings يعني أكيد. It's not something it's extremely foreign to us. It's
100%.
something we've grown up with and we're very
With,
used to it. And الشيء اللي بيزعل انه نحن كلبنانية دايما بنقول this is the reality of Lebanese people. Every generation, no one's actually able to live together. Our family that's in the States, our paternal side, they've been lucky enough. They've grown up together and everything. But they grew up far from Lebanon. So they also have that thing. And
yeah.
it's not a very easy thing, right? As a Lebanese. I mean هلا صرنا بغير موضوع بس انه
So we deterred the conversation a little bit. So let's talk about a little bit of the pressures that come with becoming an aunt and what that means as a married aunt as well. Um, so one of the pressures that comes from being a married auntie, and as much as I'm excited to like smell him and hold him and everything, is that it's like, all right, well now another clock is ticking, not just my
yeah.
biological clock, but I want them to be close in age. Like I want them to grow up close. And then I also remember like, relax, Petra, like a year and a half is not a big deal. Like look at
Yeah.
you and some of your best friends. There's like 2 or 3 years
Look
between
at you
us.
and a lot of our cousin, like us and a lot of our cousins. And we're close to our
100%.
cousins. And some of them are 5 years older.
Yeah, some of them are even older. Them guys are old. I'm kidding, Farid, Carmen, love you guys. But we're super close to them, and they're the eldest cousins. That's why I'm saying their names. But we're super close to them. So يعني هيك إنه في pressures كمان that we put on
Yeah.
ourselves as well
That are
that we
not really, they're not, they're not really there. Like you don't know what's gonna happen, even if
انت
they're the
ما
same age.
مقتنعة
Doesn't mean anything.
100%. So انت like you're putting that pressure on yourself, and so
Yeah.
what I'm trying to do for myself, and this is kind of like the conclusion that I'll give for everyone, is like I'm trying to remind myself to give myself grace.
Of
Give
course.
to everyone around me for the questions, for the curiosity, for
The
some,
questions.
yeah,
Hold.
the questions, the unintentional pressures. I'm giving them grace. Because I know that it comes from love, you know, from a place that they just want to see that for us. But then I'm also giving myself grace. I'm giving myself
Yeah.
grace in a sense that don't put pressure on yourself when you're never going to be ready. Like I'm trying to
Ah,
register because I try to control so much in my life. So I
no,
want to
you don't say.
so I want to control. Yesterday at lunch they're like, yeah, Petra's just a dictator. Like let's just say that and move on.
Dictator is a bit harsh. You're not a dictator. You're a control freak.
I'm not. But if you put a little bit of alcohol in me, I can turn into somewhat of a dictator. But anyways, I am a control freak. And so it's just like breathe. ما بدها هالقد. يعني eventually like you'll figure it out. You'll get
الشي بوقته حلو.
100%. You'll get to a point where you feel like it's fine. And we're gonna talk a little bit more in a few weeks with one of our previous guests, Jude Labit. But what that also like part of the fears also comes from what changes is gonna come in my relationship with Jason
In
directly.
your life as a whole, because we talk about it a lot with a lot of our friends, and
Yeah,
I was talking about it today, that you're always thinking, okay, when am I going to go back to myself? When am I going to go
yeah.
back to this? And you're never, it's not about you're going to go back to it. It's not about going back to it. It's a new reality that you have to. And I told my friends today, I'm like, I'm never going to be the person that I was fully when I was in Madrid. Khalas, I changed. I
Yeah.
changed from the year that I got married. You keep evolving. Of course, you're the same person, your values, beliefs, whatever. So you're going to keep evolving.
Mazboot. And it's like, why do you accept the evolution of yourself from high school, the evolution of yourself from college,
Exactly.
and you don't
Exactly.
accept, it's harder to accept, I should say, even for guys, like it's harder to accept the evolution of their new life when they become dads, you know, or when we become a mom. And I think Jude said something so beautifully, and this will be my closing thought, I swear. But Jude said something so beautifully is like, why are we so in our old episode is like, why are we so focused on bouncing back? Why don't we tell women
Why don't
to
we
come
move forward?
forward,
Yeah.
you know, and really just accept their new bodies, their new relationships, their new dynamics, like just everything. And yeah, I think that that's a very important message. So I just want to say, like, I love, I loved feeling validated by you all from our previous conversation. I hope
And
this
we
makes,
love how you guys keep the conversation going in the comments and when you
yeah,
guys talk to us and send us DMs and everything.
yeah.
Keep doing that. We love that.
Yeah. And by the way, I got a comment that I think is going to make you all who do have these fears feel so much better. One of my guy friends, one of my best guy friends actually reached out and said, "You know what, P, like the fact that you're even thinking about all of these things just proves how great of a mom you're going to be." And so just remember that like you are dealing with these fears is important, facing them is important, and it's only going to make you a stronger mom than and an even bigger rock star of a mom than you were already going to
And
be. So,
person as a whole.
and
Person
for,
as a whole. Everything you
yeah,
go through is gonna make you a different or better or stronger or whatever kind of
yeah,
person. And
yeah,
it's just the
yeah,
way of life.
just the way of life.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for joining us on this continued discussion. We really appreciate it. As always, Please drop your comments, drop your stories below. As you can tell, we really love that.
We enjoy
And
them.
yes, and make sure to tune in right back here in 2 weeks for another episode of Can We Discuss with Yada and Petra. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.